Hi. COVID-19 and lockdown has, of course, forced an awful lot of businesses to review their ways of working, and been given the opportunity to discover that there are different ways of doing things than perhaps the ways that we always have done. And certainly remote working, moving away from traditional office spaces is something that I think we're going to continue to see happening and emerging for a long time yet. Um, as employees realise that there are different ways of working and that perhaps the daily commute isn't something that is essential to their productivity, I think there is a likelihood that employers see a big increase in applications for flexible working. So making a request to you to change the terms that they currently are working on. And I think it's important to understand your responsibilities as an employer. So I'm just going to take a couple of moments to outline the responsibilities that you have as an employer in terms of considering flexible working. So a flexible working request can be made by any permanent employee that has 26 weeks or more continuous service with you, and also providing that they haven't made another flexible working request within the last 12 months. So if both of those are fulfilled, then they have a statutory right to be able to make a formal application for flexible working to you as their employer. Now, of course, if somebody wants to do that with less service and you still want to consider it, that's absolutely fine as well. But your clear obligation is towards responding to those with that length of service. There are many reasons for wanting an adjustment to terms. Of course, home working rather than office working or location is what is kind of top of the list at the moment, because that's the consequence of what we've been working with for the last few months. So, of course, you may well receive requests to work from home, work partially from home. But you might also have requests for reduced hours. People's responsibilities may well have changed at home. You also could have job shares as part of a flex working request, compressed hours. So I was working 5 days, but I've realised that I can probably achieve the same productivity within 4 days. Therefore, I'd like to retain the same pay and benefits, but work 4 days and produce the same output. So that could be a change. Could be working parents asking for term time work, for example, or a change in hours or days that they're working. So flex working can come in many different guises. Your responsibility as an employer is to give fair consideration to the request. Interestingly, an employee doesn't have to tell you the reasons for wanting to work flexibly. I think if you've got a good relationship with your employers, you'll probably know that, and it'll probably be an open conversation anyway. But the reason for the request is not considered particularly relevant in terms of deciding whether those terms that the employee is asking for work for your business and allow them to continue performing their role at the level that they need to. The obligation for an employer technically is to respond to this request within 3 months. That sounds like quite a long time to me. It may well take that long, perhaps in a larger, complex organisation, but certainly in small businesses who I work with, I would think it's probably possible to make a decision and to form a business case one way or the other a lot quicker than that. And certainly once somebody's made the request, I guess you're going to want to open that conversation up and deal with it fairly quickly. So if you receive requests for flexible working, give them due consideration, engage in conversation with your workers and understand how they are confident that their role can be, or their productivity or output or whatever your measurables are, will be either unchanged or even complemented by the change, and make sure that it is a two-way conversation that you're having. And again, process is key as far as anything in HR is concerned. So document, date stamp and log all conversations that you have, and indeed your formal response to the flexible working request as well. One last thing, you could always trial something. So if you have a request and you're just not sure that it's going to work, but you want to give it a go, do that and attach a trial period to it, a couple of months or so, whatever is the right period to be able to measure the effectiveness or not of the change. I hope that helps. And if there is anything that you would like to discuss more, as always, please do get in touch. Thank you. Bye-bye.